So as I mentioned, we have two representatives from Cleveland Construction, Aaron Blaskovic and also Devin Kurilico. Did I pronounce that right, Devin?
You're really close. Everybody always messes up the I now. Kurilko.
Kurilko. Thank you for that. Well, we appreciate both of you being here. As I mentioned, the event is being recorded. Will be available for public viewing by other students, those who couldn't join us this morning, and also students participating in the careers programming for at CMSD during next spring. We have a few basic ground rules for our students. You'll continue to have your line muted. You're welcome to ask questions in the chat function. We also would look forward to hearing your questions as we finish up the more formal presentation from Cleveland Construction. We appreciate you, as students, if you're comfortable with having your cameras on, that would be terrific. You don't have to have them on, but we certainly would encourage you to do that as a part of engaging in this morning's conversation. And this is a conversation. While we are adults and we have jobs and responsibilities and all that stuff, we really are hoping to have a conversation with you this morning. And then finally, the Student Workforce Advancement Group, as the students know, is a career-focused program that basically introduces students to the world of work. And we're really wanting to do that this morning in a conversational way. The key components of the program, students have been involved in doing self-assessments and reflections, career exposure, and also scholars, self-reflection, and pathway identification. And I'll stop sharing my screen now and quickly turn things over to Devin and Aaron. We're excited to have you here. We welcome Cleveland Construction's participation, and I will now turn the floor over to you both. Go right ahead. Thank you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share. Am I good to go on the screen? Okay, perfect. I'll kick things off. So my name is Aaron Blaskovic. I am based out of our Cleveland office. I am the client development manager here, and I work in our pre-construction department. So that is basically everything that happens before a shovel is in the ground. So I am just going to kind of touch on our Cleveland office, what we run out of this office, and the apprenticeship opportunities that we can provide out of the Cleveland office. And then I will switch things over to Devin for an introduction on her side.
Sorry, I thought you meant after you did yours. I am Devin. I am the apprenticeship manager amongst a couple of other things that I help with in the office. And yeah, I work out of the Cincinnati office and have been to almost all the offices, not quite all of them, but definitely Cleveland. So.
So yeah, I'll touch on all of our office locations as well. So just wanted to kind of bring up, our vision and purpose as a company. So we operate as a family company. It is family owned. We're really committed to our client success and meeting their project goals. We really heavily promote quality, safety, cost-effective projects, anywhere that we perform work. And most importantly, we really foster relationships with our clients. Repeat business is the easiest business to receive. So if you do a good job, they'll use you again. So just some company facts about Cleveland Construction. So we were founded in 1980. By the late Richard G. Small. It is currently owned by brothers or sons of Richard. And we're celebrating, our 40-year anniversary. So we've been around for a little bit. So John and James are the current owners of Cleveland Construction. As we mentioned, we do have several offices. So Cleveland, Cincinnati, as we mentioned, and we have an office in Charlotte, Orlando, Columbus, Jessup, Maryland, technically, around DC, Washington, DC, and then Naples in Florida. So we're pretty spread out over, east of the Mississippi. We perform work really we perform work nationally, technically, but really don't go farther than, I would say, like Texas-ish, as a company as a whole. We do have, so Cleveland Construction, Inc. is comprised of our construction management and general contracting division, which is ran out of our Cleveland office. So our self-perform interior trades division is where Devin is, in our Cincinnati office. So we're going to kind of go, those are the two, main focuses that we're going to talk about today, and the two opportunities that students would have with either division. Our sister companies are Telling Industries, which is a metal stud manufacturing company, and then Small Brothers LLC, which is a small real estate development arm. So services offered, as I mentioned, our Cleveland office offers general contracting, construction management, and design build. These are different ways that you can manage a project in construction. So we kind of run the gamut there. And then the Cincinnati office is self-performing interior trades, so drywall, metal framing, etc. Devin will go into that more later. I just wanted to kind of touch on a few projects that we've worked on locally. So Terminal Towers, the last one, the big, the iconic building downtown that we just finished changing some office space to apartments. So a lot of adaptive reuse has been done in downtown Cleveland, and we've been a big part of that. The Halley building is the interior apartment on the right-hand side. It's also another project that we did downtown.
Yep. And Aaron, what is adaptive reuse? What does that mean for our students?
Yeah, so adaptive reuse is when at one time it was a certain use, as in office, and you're turning it into a different use, so apartments. And that could be, it could go from office to manufacturing, it could go from apartments back to office. It's just adapting to a new use that was in the space previously.
Thanks.
And then hotels, so the bottom left corner is the Residence Inn near the Cleveland Clinic. And then Pinecrest was also a AC hotel that we did out there, part of a larger mixed use development, which mixed use is when you combine, different uses. So you can combine retail, office, hospitality, and things like that. So those are just a few projects. As I mentioned, we do have, a Charlotte office, so that's a larger office for us. We are active down in the Carolinas. So again, hospitality, we're working at the airport there as well. And then we are working on a large high school down in the Carolinas as well. It's a little farther along than that picture, but it's a pretty cool project. And then we have our other regions that we work in. So as I mentioned, we do work pretty much anywhere, for us, anywhere east of the Mississippi. So some of these projects are in Virginia, Florida. We're working in Kentucky right now. So, there is opportunities to work in different states as well. So I don't know if we want to pause for any questions right there or not, or I can jump into our GCCM.
you could continue, but it's a great reminder to encourage students to put for students to put questions in the chat, or if you can also use the raised hand function. If there are questions that you have, as Aaron and Devin are sharing, if Devin and Aaron are open to it, we could pause and answer questions along the way. Either way works. Thanks.
Perfect. So I am going to just touch on our general contracting construction management internship program. So this would be a program that is ran out of our Cleveland office. So our Cleveland office is comprised of project estimators. So these are people that are bidding on projects that we would like to build, basically. So it's very mathematically focused. And we are, sorry, there's something outside. So that is one area of expertise that you could focus on in our GCCM division. And when I say GCCM, it's General Contracting Construction Management Division. So project manager is another position that would be available. So they oversee all aspects of a project, which there could be, submittals. There's a lot of things that go into a project. From start to finish, a project manager is looking at every single one of those items. And then there's project superintendents and field management. So this would be, you would be on site every day at the project, managing all the different contractors that are on site. So those are, the major three components of our GCCM opportunities. So the internship program that we currently have for those three positions is a 10-week structured program with mentorship that you would get from each department. So you'll learn effective management techniques, understanding like cross-functional departments, because there's a lot of departments that work together to make a project happen. Safety training and certification, you have to get trained in a lot of different safety and certifications to be able to perform these job functions. Procore software training. Procore is a management software that we use. So that would be also a certification that you would receive. So as I mentioned, this program is really, you're taking a look at each one of these positions and seeing kind of where you would be really interested in getting, more involved into a career. So advanced knowledge of blueprint reading, cost estimating, proposal reading, and takeoff programs, which takeoffs are, you're looking at a blueprint and you're taking off what this would cost, basically. Project scheduling, as I mentioned, submittals, trade contractor coordination, safety and quality management, and then presentation skills and how to sell yourself and ideas. At the end of the program, students have to present to our teams, and they actually have opportunities to win scholarships. So to be considered for this program, students must be pursuing a degree in construction management at an accredited college. You do have to have junior or senior status in college. So this obviously is something to think about a little down the line. But it's a great program. You get really access into really everything that you'd be looking at on the job. So, that is kind of like an overview, and without going into a lot of detail, because there's obviously more detail to go into, but we just want to make sure. So this program obviously is a college track. Devin is going to kind of talk to the interior trades program that can be, you know, an opportunity right out of high school. So I will switch things over to her. Unless there's questions.
Yeah, and Devin, just before you jump in, we do have a question. Are there, from a student, first name Michael, are there local schools that offer a degree similar or for the program that was just mentioned? Are there local schools that offer a degree? And I would certainly encourage Michael to add. You're welcome to unmute and add to that question if you'd like.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was curious. There were one of the things that for the internship that was just discussed, there was a degree that you must be pursuing in order to be considered for the internship. And I was just curious if there were any local colleges that offer that degree.
So I know Bowling Green offers construction management degree. Dan, are you still on? Kent, I believe, does as well. I can definitely follow up with a list of local schools, definitely, that offer.
That would be great. Thank you.
All right. Terrific. Thank you. Devin, please go right ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you. Just wanted to make sure we addressed that question.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, I'm just going to go into detail about the interior division. So some of it Aaron had already spoke about, but we're one of the largest interior exterior contractors in the United States, and we specialize in metal framing, gypsum wallboard, which is a fancy word for drywall, finishing, acoustical ceilings, and high-end finishes. We do some plastering and painting. I think that's more so in the South. But yeah, we were founded in 1980, and it is a family-owned business. And actually, Richard Small had started the business out of the basement of his home when he started it with 3 loans on his house to kick it into gear, and now it's a multi-million-dollar company. We have the ability to build in 43 states. I think the farthest that we've probably gone out is Colorado. But anywhere we can build, we'll definitely try to. So like previously said, we do have 7 offices. The Mason office is kind of like the headquarters, if you will, for the interior division. So we have our vice president and president of the interior division out of this office, and they oversee the other offices that are part of the interior division. So there's one in Maryland, Florida, and here as well, and Columbus, Cincinnati. So you can go to the next slide.
Why isn't it letting me? Oh, okay, there we go.
So before I get into the apprenticeship program, these are just a couple of jobs that the interior division has done. And this one was actually just completed. It was a 6-year project. It kept getting add-ons of certain things that they wanted, but it's in El Paso, Texas. And it was 1.2 million square feet in drywall. It's crazy huge. It ended up being 20 million over their budget for the interior division that we made profit on. Instead of it being 35 million, it was way more. But like you're going to see in a lot of ones that I'm going to pull, or that she's going to pull through, they're all metal studs, you know, drywall finishing, the acoustical ceiling and grid. So this one is one of my favorite ones to talk about because it's the U.S. Strategic Command headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska. I actually got to go out to this job, but I wasn't able to actually go into it will probably never get pictures for it, because it is actually where they will take the president if we are ever under attack. So it's pretty cool for our company to be a part of something like this. You have to have a background check to get on some jobs when you work for the Interior Division. It just depends on the job, but we do a lot of government work. So Johns Hopkins Hospital, this one was huge as well. I want to say the general manager that was on this job that had just moved to Maryland, he said it took him probably 3 weeks to actually figure out how to navigate through the building, because a lot of it is actually also underground. So the picture doesn't do it justice for how large it actually is. And I can go to the next one. The Marriott Hotel. This one was done obviously from our Jessup, Maryland office that we have. Another large one that we have that was pretty cool. We did get an award for that one, so for our drywall finishing. Oh, it looks like somebody had a chat question.
We're good. Dan was just mentioning a few of the colleges that prepare those programs. So, but please, yeah, this is, I know students are excited about the apprenticeship program, helping them to understand how do you access the construction? Where do you start?
Yeah, so I think go back one, because this is a little.
There we go.
There we go. So the apprenticeship program. So it is paid hands-on learning. It's like the other 4-year degree, which when people hear 4 years, they're like, oh, that's so long. But the way that our program is actually set up is we are, the way that it's set up is basically when you have the classes, it's 3 months of on-the-job training, 1 week of in-class training. So 4 times a year for 1 week, you'll have your in-class training. And it's all with people that are within the company that are registered instructors. So like our superintendents, project managers, we even had, you know, our president and vice president in on classes teaching like blueprints and stuff like that. One thing that's super important to note is that it is a formal training registered with the U.S. Department of Labor, because you'll hear a lot of places say, oh, we are, you know, or we do have an apprenticeship program, but it's not registered with the U.S. Department of Labor, so it's not recognized nationwide. So that's what's nice about ours, is anywhere you go, you're going to have that card that says that it's registered. And then it is, you do get books and everything like that, and that is paid for by Cleveland Construction, so it doesn't cost you a penny. And one thing that's actually really nice is you're also going to be gaining transferable college credits. So if you want, right now, I think in Ohio, we have Columbus State, in which because of COVID, it's been a little bit more difficult to get with other schools right now. But basically, if you go to a community college, you'll already have 1 full year's worth of transferable college credits. So say you did want to get your construction management, you would only have like a year's worth left. So, and then obviously we have it in Maryland, but that's a little far, and because you're not registered in our Maryland, you wouldn't be able to work there. Their guidelines are a little different, but we're basically we use Associated Builders and Contractors, so ABC. They deal with all of the paperwork and stuff. We just submit it in and they kind of keep track of it. And we do follow their guidelines very strictly, because if we get audited and we're not doing something correctly, since it is registered with the U.S. Department of Labor, they could potentially ban us from having a program if we don't follow protocol or anything like that. So, is there a question, or is that somebody? Okay. So wage progression, this is kind of where it gets a little bit tricky, because so the minimum that we have is $13.25 an hour, and then every 1,000 hours, which is typically every 6 months, you'll get an increase of $1.15. So you'll get $2.30 a year increase. But say you have some background history of construction or something that could benefit to what you do if you were to work for a company, you could start off at a higher rate. And then also because we are non-union, if the superintendent or whoever your supervisor is that is under you or above you, I'm sorry, if they feel that you're doing a phenomenal job, they're able to also give you an increase in pay if they feel it is deserving. So I know that you can make a lot of money, especially when you're on a government job, to where you can make, double what you would make in certain states. So the sky's the limit, basically, with being in construction, that's for sure, or an apprenticeship program. Well, even if you're just a journeyman as well, but. So for the hiring requirements, you have to have reliable means of transportation and physically able to do the functions of the job, because it is physical labor that you're, or manual labor that you're doing, and we just want to make sure that you are capable of doing those. We are a drug-free workplace, so you would have to pass a post-op or pre-hire drug screen. We do have an integrity testing, and that's basically 5 to 8 minutes long of yes, no, ABCD choice questions. It's nice and quick. We have an apprenticeship agreement. It's basically like a non-compete after X amount of time being with our company, because if we are investing the time and money into you, we would like for you to stay with our company. Just because you complete it in a journeyman doesn't mean that that's where you would stay. There's definitely a lot of room for growth. Like right now we have someone who had just recently graduated from our apprenticeship program, and he is a foreman right now and is in training to become a superintendent. So you could be anything from a superintendent, project manager, you can go into estimating. I know that our chief estimator was a carpenter at one point, and now he's in the office looking over all of the estimating. So the sky is pretty much the limit in how much work you're willing to put into it. So it's a little bit different with COVID right now. We have had some of our classes to where they're actually online, unless there's the certain portion where you have to actually be in class. So it's definitely been a learning curve, but typically what we do is we have a meet and greet where we would meet everybody who wants to be in the apprenticeship program. And then from there, we'll have a final interview process, and you would complete your application, have that final interview, pass your drug test, and then be able to work. It's a little different now because we're not doing the meet and greet, so we're still trying to figure out how to do those while, practicing social distancing and stuff. So it's a little learning curve right now.
Just as we begin to move toward the end of the presentation, and thank you for showing us how students, how to apply, and maybe Aaron and Devin, you can also put the website into the chat as well. I'd like, at this point, it might be a good idea. We have a couple of questions that have popped up in the chat. I also have a couple I wanted to add. But if at this point, we'll also make the slides available to everyone. So we're happy to do that as well. But if you wouldn't mind, if you're good, unsharing the screen, I wanted to kind of open up the conversation a little bit with a couple of opening questions. And then if there are any students that have questions, if you'd like to unmute yourself, feel free to do that. But I'd like to just follow up on what I heard in Aaron and Devin, either one. So I heard two kind of specific ways, right, that young people get connected, to Cleveland Construction. There's an internship program that if you're interested in, if you're on a college track, make a decision to go into college, the internship program sounds like a phenomenal, a really great opportunity. Now the apprenticeship program, how do, maybe Devin, if a student is interested in an apprenticeship program, one of the things I heard you say is you get paid to study, right? Mm-hmm. And starting at $13 an hour, and then you ramp up from there. So if you're interested in that apprenticeship program, how would students apply?
Yeah, so we do have an application that you can fill out. It should be on our website under the careers tab. Or if
Okay.
someone wants more information, it gets emailed directly to me and I reach out to them. So there should be an application on there, but I can always send that as well. I'm sure Aaron can give me your contact information, or I could get yours and email you over our application, and then it can just be emailed directly to me, which I put my email in that chat. So, and then
Yep.
from there, that's when we would start the hiring process.
Right. And then a quick follow-up question. One of the slides you talked about, some of the requirements
Yeah.
to participate in the program, having access to reliable transportation, passing a drug test. What are some of the other things you also talked about? I think it was an integrity test. What are some of the things that Cleveland Construction, what have you found for the new employees, particularly younger employees that are being introduced to the world of construction? What are the things that you look for that really helps you understand this is someone who's interested and excited about potentially working in the world of construction?
So one thing that I think is huge, and I could probably say everybody would agree with this, that I know in upper management and supervising, being on time is huge. I have seen people time and time again get fired, for being late, and it's not just once or twice or three times. They try really hard to give you that, extra time or whatever, and that seems to be an ongoing issue with, I think, the younger generation, is being on time. Sometimes things happen and we totally get that, but sometimes I think that it's a little much. Motivation, I think, is huge. I reach out to the supervisors every 2 weeks to kind of see the progression of the apprentices. And sometimes they'll say it's lack of motivation or production on the job. And they don't mean like, oh, how much drywall can they hang in a day? They just mean helping and quick to response and, doing what they can, as opposed to just kind of moping around or going slower than they probably could have and being on their phone or something. But the motivation is definitely one, and then being on time is another. Because when you're in the class, what's really nice is not only is it just the classwork that you'll have in there, but there'll be 1 or 2 days to where you'll actually be applying what you've learned in class in our warehouse, or taking a field trip to our sister company, Telling Industries, or a drywall company or whatever. So we will see how they do with that when they're in the class, or how they take to instruction and listening. So
Terrific. Aaron, are there things that come to mind for you for things that students or young people, again, being introduced to Cleveland Construction and working full time for the first time, things that jump out to you as important things that really distinguish and help folks kind of gain their ground and really do well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Devin hit on a lot of good points, but I think, just being willing to learn, ask questions, work as a team. The thing about these projects, they're huge, and there's a lot of people that touch a project, so you really are working with a lot of different people, and you just have to talk to people. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And don't be afraid to learn, because I'm still learning every day about this business, and there's a lot to learn as you go through years in the construction business. I think that just popped into my head. Yeah, so those would be kind of some of the things that I would give advice on.
Okay, terrific. Just going to quickly check the chat. There was a question, and Robert, if you'd like to unmute, said there's a question about buildings in the city of Cleveland, but would you like to add to that?
Yes.
Go right ahead. Robert, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Can you share your question? It says to building bricks to the city of Cleveland. Just want to make sure, help us understand what you meant by that question so we can respond.
To respond.
Okay. Okay, all right, no problem. We might come back. We might come back there. Aaron and Aaron and Devin, just any final comments as we begin to, I don't know if there were a couple of final comments that you have relative to encouraging folks to reach out, some of the other kind of things that you would want to share as we wrap up today's presentation.
One thing I actually forgot to mention is if you are an apprentice on our job site, the first week you start with us, you're actually not on the job site. You are doing a core class where you'll get your OSHA 10, and you'll also be learning about basic hand tools and power tools and stuff like that. And then once you do step foot on the job, you'll have orientation, and then you will be paired with a journeyman the whole time. And they will switch you. You're not always going to be with the same person because it'll be depending on what you're learning. But I did forget to mention that as well.
Devin, thank you. And then Aaron, as you share, can you also just quickly add, what does the construction business look like in the coming years? Is this a field that if young people are making a decision to go into construction, there are going to be lots of opportunities? Are things kind of growing or shrinking, or what's going on?
So in general, so I wanted to touch on, I do want to make sure that it is clear that the apprenticeship that Devin was talking about is based out of Cincinnati. So, you would have to be in Cincinnati taking, the classes and everything.
You would be, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you. Yes, classes, you're right, would be in Cincinnati, but you would definitely have to be willing to travel because you would be in multiple other states. Well, maybe one the whole 4 years, but depending on job needs and stuff. Not many in Cleveland. I think we only have one that's starting up, so.
Okay, thank you.
So just kind of want to clarify that. But in terms of the construction industry, I mean, obviously it's been booming for the past 10 years. We always talk about labor shortages. So trade contractors, there's always a need for trade contractors no matter what. It does seem like the younger generation isn't too keen about manual labor. So we're always looking for, my brother is, a bricklayer, he's 29. So, hard worker, you have to be a hard worker to do, manual labor and kind of be in this industry in general. So the outlook of the construction industry, I mean, COVID is obviously affecting everybody's lives. It's going to be a bit harder to function on job sites now and things like that. But in terms of construction pipeline, I mean, we still see a pretty decent recovery and projects still being out there. It's a great industry to be in. And we kind of want more people in it. So we're always kind of out there promoting it. And yeah, that's.
Well, terrific. And of course, Devin, thank you. And Aaron, thank you. And we know that Cleveland Construction is committed to creating these kind of opportunities for new workers in the construction sector. Your participation in today's session is evidence of that. We're thrilled that you have taken the time to share how young people can get connected to the world of construction through Cleveland Construction. We also